Lance, what's up?
Bro, Rhett. It's been forever, bro.
Episode 43.
Is this 43?
Yeah,
That's
slowly
good.
making our way to 50 by the end of the year here.
Did I mark Jackie Robinson live for everyone last time? I think I forgot.
You said it off pod.
I really wanted to have a Jackie Robinson moment for 42. I'm not a big Dodger fan, but daggone it, that guy was good.
Yeah. I when you go to Fuller main campus and you walk over off of Los Robles there behind the All Saints Church and the what's that building there? There's a memorial, the statues of him and his brother there. It's really awesome.
Yeah, bro. Love it.
Pasadena natives. I believe.
Love it. It's is he? I think you're right. Yeah. Good
yeah,
stuff.
right over there. There's it's like a brass, I think bronze statue. Someone will correct me, but I remember a lot of times when I walk around over there when I was a student. So we got a few announcements. Well, first of all, if you're listening to this podcast, please subscribe on YouTube or Spotify or Apple or all of them. And leave us
subscribe everywhere.
Leave us a good review. And if it's not a good review, then just tell us why in the comments there.
Yeah. I imagine last episode when we talked about psychedelics, there's some people that were like kind of like me. We were like, whoa, that was not expecting that moment.
It was such a good episode though.
It was so good.
Ryan really motivated me. I called a few friends afterwards, kind of reignited my not interest. I've always been interested, but like passion for like, how do we get men go deeper into the men's work and in outdoor stuff. I have a few friends exploring outdoor wilderness ventures right now and teaming up with some people who are doing that around the country right now.
Dude, I was watching this report on the news the other night, and they're just talking about just how men are just lit. Like there's most men, like they're not engaging anymore. They're kind of just staying at home, playing video games or trying to trade stocks, and they're not really engaging in society anymore. And just, it's really sad. Like men that don't have friends.
Yeah.
Like we got to do something, man.
There was that study. I'm gonna botch it. I can look it up here, put it in the show notes. But it came out like 2 weeks ago. They were talking about, again, the numbers are off, but it was something like men ages, like let's call it teenagers up to like 21. Like a huge percentage, it was like 80% have never asked a girl out on a date. And
yes.
And what they were talking about was how men lack some of the just basic tools or skills to know how to navigate life that a generation earlier had. And I work with a lot of college kids right now, and a lot more on video because they're away at school and just doing therapy. Or I guess since it's across state lines, I'm doing with my coaching certification instead.
Yes, coaching. Yes.
We haven't signed that paperwork. And a lot of them spend all day in the dorm playing video games or in virtual worlds and go to lunch with headphones on and don't dialogue with anybody or talk to anybody. And it's really hard. We're missing passages, rites of passage or basic things, and I know women like obviously have their own issues and struggles over the years for their own things, but you and I, obviously both being male, we work with a lot of males, and so I've been thinking about that a lot recently.
I've been really caught up in the plight of women and how it's been really horrible for them for let's just say forever. But yeah, I do. There is this element of where we need to help our guys to come in and be more present in society. It's crazy. Well, let's talk announcements. I don't want to get.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we're getting off to target.
I know,
here,
man. It's like you and I. We get together.
Yeah, we'll come back to this another time. Okay, so you have an announcement. Our buddy,
you want
Ron
people
Deal.
to subscribe. Is it? Why do we want people to subscribe?
subscribe is if you subscribe, it's easier for people to find the podcast. And
Yeah.
word of mouth is great, but subscribing is great. You can also subscribe to our Substack, which is just RT Dialogue Substack. And people are like, "What is Substack?" Picture it almost like a modern day blog, but we house all of our podcast episodes on the RT Dialogue Substack, and a couple of articles that you and I have written for the Substack. And we have, I think, here coming up pretty soon, another person. I won't say their name yet because they
No,
haven't.
say their names so they feel pressure.
Oh, Corey Page, you're on
Yeah,
call
Corey.
now
Thanks,
for some
Corey.
articles that you want to write. So Corey Page will have some articles on the Substack here eventually, and others as well. So subscribe to the Substack. We try to post something once a week, maybe twice a week if we have extra material. Our
Totally.
buddy Ron Dill's got a training. You want to mention that?
Yeah, I was really impressed by Ron. That guy can teach like no other. He's got like example, he's got flow. His
Videos.
slides, his slides are incredible.
Yeah.
Like like the slides where he's like, blah, 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 this is this family, this family, this family. It's amazing. Well, he's got an online training coming up December 18th through the 19th for people that work with step families. One of my teammates is going. I think there's still space left. I would definitely recommend going. Ron Deals Are People. And that, I was just watching a video today. Like, when you look at Ron makes the argument that the traditional family is the new non-traditional. Like non-traditional families is actually the new what we have today, like where there's blended families of all sorts. So it's something that if you're not really dialed in on how to work with blended families, I would really recommend Ron's blended family step family. Check it out. It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, Ron, you're the man. Ron's presentation at the summit was the first time I realized I grew up in a blended family. I had no idea.
And how old were you when you found that out?
50.
Yeah. See, it's
Yeah.
never too late.
Yeah, because I grew up in a family where my mom passed away, and I didn't think there was. I always thought of blended families as coming through kind of through divorce or um, death, of course, but like there's other kids involved. And I grew up in a family after my mom died where there was just my brother and I, and my dad got remarried. And then his slides are all over the place, and I'm like, I think I texted all of you. I'm like, I grew up in a blended family. I had no idea. And I wasn't the only one, by the way, who was a therapist there, who was also my age, who realized that for the first time. So
yeah, their parents remarried late in life, and they're like, "Oh, I'm in a blended family."
Yeah. So there's that. So we got Ron Deal's training coming up. Do you want to say anything about level 1?
Level 1 trainings. I know Jason's got one happening up in
Portland.
the Portland area. We
January
announced
9th and 10th in Portland, Oregon. Jason Wilkinson. And then our good buddy Michael Cox,
Michael
January
Cox.
23rd and 24th in person in Austin, Texas.
Dude, so good.
And we won't go the whole year, but we'll go one more out, actually 2 out. We'll go February 20th to 21st. Terry has got the online Zoom training.
Nice.
And then in March, Eric Solwin is doing one in Dallas. So pretty pumped about that.
Dude, all I can say is Texas is going to get some restoration happening.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Texas, and also, let's just say level 2 trainings. Stephanie has got level 2 December 4th and 5th on online Zoom, which is coming up quick.
I think that one's full already.
Okay.
I think both are. You can call. Actually, we do get last minute dropouts. If you ever want to do level 2, Stephanie and I are the ones that do it.
Yeah.
So definitely email Megan Lundgren about that if you want to do level 2. Do you want to say the other date? I think I have one coming up in January. Is that right?
Yeah, Lance, yours January 30th or 31st is an online Zoom level 2 as well, correct?
That's right. And make sure if you do it, you have to show video because we're going to try and take you to the next level. I'm finishing up a level 2 training with Terry this weekend here. So I feel like everyone that's in my group, like they're all like, they love restoration therapy and they're growing in restoration therapy. There's so much nuance in RT that Level 2 really helps you to pick that up on how to make it in vivo, as they might say.
Yeah. Also, we should give a shout out to an upcoming restoration coaching training with Megan. That is January 23rd through 24th. And that will be online Zoom. And our good buddy Ro, who does the sound for this podcast, did that with Megan and was blown away by that training.
Yeah, and that's really good for like those of you that aren't licensed but really like restoration therapy. This is a great place to really dive in and really find some accreditation, and a community to really connect with on how to apply restoration therapy in a coaching setting. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Awesome.
Well, what are we doing today, Rhett? We've already figured out men, or talked about the plight of men.
I thought what we would do is, because I don't know if everybody is clear sometimes. We wanted to talk about what are the core tenets essentially of restoration
Hmm.
therapy, and it came up because you and I are at a retreat, and lots of amazing people, and we're all practicing RT, but we can go in different directions sometimes and develop our own stuff
Yeah.
out of it, and we can get away from maybe what some of the core tenets are. And I don't want to speak for Terry. Terry obviously allows a lot of creativity and for people to use his model in a lot of cool ways. But we
Yeah.
just wanted to come back to a conversation of like, here's what the cores, here's when you think about RT, here's what RT
Yes.
is essentially, right?
And
And
there's RT adjacent, but we're going to focus on what is RT today.
yeah, and we're going to go through each one and just kind of highlight them and talk about them for a few minutes. And then, hopefully that will be helpful for all of you who have either been practicing RT for a long time or are new to it, because I'm 15 years into it and I'm still learning a ton. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That's the core. Because I can get away from it too, or I can add things.
Yeah.
It's like a
You,
myth over time that kind of expands, and then you kind of forget what the origin story is.
yeah. The foundational pieces, you're like, oh, that's still there.
Yeah.
And it still matters a lot. It really holds up the house.
So why don't you read off the list first of when we think of RT? And this list came straight from Terry. Terry put it on a board.
Yeah.
So straight from the founder's uh,
It wasn't
mouth.
on tablet. It wasn't on stone tablets though.
It was not in stone tablets, but it was on a screen. And so read what he put up on that list.
Okay. So this is what we got. Number one is emotional regulation. That's where it's really important in RT that we are emotionally regulated. And specifically, the way that we regulate is not through other, but through self. Okay.
Right.
Self versus co regulation. Okay.
Which Ron Deal and Terry and Sharon and Nan hit pretty heavy in the mindful marriage. So we'll come back to that. But
Brilliant.
when you think
Next.
about RT, you're thinking about emotional self-regulation, not co-regulation.
Come on, somebody.
What
Then we
else?
have human identity and safety. These are like when we look at the core of humanity, like this is like the huge philosophical piece that we look at with restoration therapy, is that when you look at the core basic needs of all human beings, they go back to two places, right? One is who we are, and then the other is our environments that are around us and how we deal with them, right? So that's human identity and safety.
Which is essentially in our model, love and
Love
trust.
and trust.
Yeah.
Dang,
Okay.
we almost had that like on the.
Yeah. Next one.
Then we have so what does this look like? So we've contextualized this thing in a lovely model, which everybody has seen. There's the pain chart and the peace chart. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about? We'll go deeper into these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've actually over the years have seen different versions that people have mocked up, and I think there's a way that we're currently doing them that is recommended when we think about pain chart and peace.
Well, the pain chart and the peace chart, yeah. The cycles are different for sure.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And then the other piece, core piece, is the pain cycle. So our primary emotion to reactive emotion, right? That
Yeah.
that that pain cycle piece.
Yeah, your bad behavior comes from somewhere. And there's this really important part attached to it, which is how others react.
Yep.
Um, so yeah. And
Then
then
next,
peace cycle, which is that new primary emotion, which is founded in truth, leads to better choices of actions or virtues.
yep. And then 4 steps. So
Right.
say what you feel, say what
Good.
you
Oh,
normally
good.
do, say your truth, do the action essentially.
Yeah. Four
So,
steps is that's our mindfulness practice
yep.
with restoration therapy. This is our go-to mindfulness piece that if you want one thing to get yourself out of jail, use the four steps. I don't know why I said, yeah, the jail of your own prison that you put yourself in. There it
Okay.
is.
And then the other component, which is a big one, and I got the sense listening to conversations that um, Terry's still working on this, I think, in many ways and
Yeah.
expanding it or thinking through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is forgiveness, and this is probably I got to do a group with Corey back in the day on forgiveness, and I think we could probably spend a whole episode on like few episodes. We have done a little bit, but
Yeah.
and the core part with forgiveness that we see is these stations. Do you want to name the stations for everybody,
Yeah.
Rhett?
There's 2 categories really. There is salvage and restoration. Under the
Yeah,
salvage piece is insight and understanding, right? That part of doing forgiveness is doing the work of salvage and gaining insight and understanding to, let's just call it like the violations. What went wrong? How do we get to this place?
yeah,
The second piece is restoration, and there's in that category there's opportunity for compensation and then overt forgiveness.
hmm,
And I've heard opportunity for compensation explained different ways, but in a sense it's once we understand and have insight into what we've done wrong, how we've hurt someone, we look for opportunity to compensate, to put back, to rebuild,
yeah.
to gain trust, to do things differently. And as we move through those, we get to a place of deeper forgiveness, overt forgiveness. And so those are the 4 stations. You want to say anything different about that?
Yeah, I think you named them perfectly. Salvage is like if this is an unsafe person, you can go there. There's also value if they are a safe person to kind of spend time there anyways.
Yeah.
So stations are, they're just places that you can go to. The cool part about what Terry did with the stations is there is no order, like in like how you're supposed to go about it. So you just figure out what helps you most. And one thing that Terry didn't list here, and I'm going to list it.
Yep.
I'm gonna venture. Okay, please don't. I hope I don't get in trouble for this. But the concept of us.
Mm.
Don't you think that should be on the list?
I mean, we talk about a lot. He's written about it. It's mentioned quite a
Yeah.
bit. So yeah, I mean, we'll yeah, Terry, what do you think? If you're listening, we'll have to have him on to talk through this. But you believe, like, when you think about restoration therapy, usness being a core component of that.
I would say yes. I,
Okay.
I think I think it matters a lot.
And then the other one that's not on the list, but he did say it probably will be on the list eventually, is that we are working through the stop, turn, slow
Right.
intervention. And so that's a big piece. And one of the beautiful things about the RT model that he said is it's an integratable model. So
Yeah.
say,
What does that mean, Rhett?
well, I can integrate my faith into the practice of RT, and
Yeah.
and we've talked about, there's lots of language around that and how we do that, how we think about the old self and the new self,
Yeah.
how we think about truth, how we think about receiving truth from God or others or self. And then the beauty of it too, the fact that it's integratable means that you can be working with clients who would consider themselves agnostic or atheist or don't come from a faith, and we can use the model um, as I think as
Yeah.
well with anybody who walks in our door.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the gift that it's, true. Like the model is stands on its own, and to me, like, you and I both have, this deep core faith within us. So I think there's this element where it marries so well with scripture. Like, and I think that's that integration is like, it can work. It works so good when it's in the zone, but it's also something that like it doesn't have to have that, like, for if you have that agnostic or that person coming in the room. So I think that is, I love how what did Terry say? He made like a big claim. Do you remember?
You say I know I could be wrong.
He basically said it's the best, most integratable model out
Hmm.
there.
Yeah.
So I was like, game on, Terry. Love it.
Well, one of the reasons I went to Fuller, because I could have gone to like a school that, let's say, is just agnostic in practice, right? In terms
Yeah.
of like psychological models, and I could have gone to like a school that was just is only like from a Christian perspective, and that's it, and that's all the way you see therapy. And there's models out there and schools out there. The thing I loved about Fuller is like we had this specific class that was separately that was about integration,
Hmm.
because they knew that when we go into our um, practicums in the community, that we work with all kinds of clients, and in
Yeah.
fact, a lot of the places that we went to work at our practicums did not want us speaking of faith stuff, but they respected the Fuller students. I remember when I was there, one of the practicum leaders at the place I was at said, "We always get students from Fuller with like some of the best work ethic and morals and values, and we just love having them in our practice."
That's cool.
So it was up to us to do the work of integration, I guess is what I want to say.
Yeah.
Here are the models. You, as the therapist, do the work of integrating
Yes.
where
Absolutely.
you see fit. And that's what makes therapy also an art and not just a science, is that we have to kind of be discerning in the room.
Yeah. And I think it's good to note here too that um, Fuller is not the only school that
Yes.
talks about restoration therapy. We have lots of really cool people that are out there. Richard Shaw is a great guy
George
up at
Fox,
George Fox. Eric Solwin's a great
Dallas
guy down at
Theological.
Dallas Theological. We got Dave Morgan down over at Lipscomb University. Um,
Got Mike
uh,
Bishop,
Mike Bishop, our boy.
Texas Wesleyan University, TWU, up in North Texas.
Yeah, I have like a whole list. I think there's like at least eight
Yeah.
people, like, or eight schools that I know of right off the bat that are all talking about restoration therapy. So
Yeah. And we're going to find out in January. We have some guests coming on who are using RT in other ways, not as therapists, but even in like communications theory and stuff. So
that's
Um,
cool.
yeah, it's really cool. So those are the core tenets, and I thought what we would do is just kind of camp on each of them just a few more minutes and kind of dive in deeper to them and see if we can talk about them in a way that's helpful for the listener. So
Yeah,
let's just start with emotional regulation versus co-regulation.
yeah. Well, so when you look at like, Terry has this model, like, where he has like the three things that we do in restoration therapy, like the three influencers. One of them is on emotional regulation, right? And then the other two are attachment and mindfulness, right? um Emotional regulation gets its own, like we really care about this. Like, this is something that's really important to us. And I love it. I love the idea behind emotional regulation. Uh, like, when Terry talks about it, it's just like, it's kind of frustrating, but it's beautiful at the same time. Where he says, you know, you're probably you're a good person, right? everybody's a good person, right? Except for when you're not. um, and the issue is that, some people are just tend to be a little bit more um, emotionally dysregulated than regulated. So yeah, I think this is definitely one of our core principles.
And
Um,
you and I first talked about it in episode 8 of this podcast, and then we went deep with Ron in episode 36.
yeah.
And Ron's got the beautiful, like in depth um, scuba.
Oh man. I he when we saw him this last weekend or a few weekends ago, and when the thing that Ron needs is a pitcher. When you get the pictures of it, it goes, it
Yeah.
really, you're like, yes, I don't want to be the guy that's sucking off my buddy's tank, um, and enjoying the great underwater. Like, I want to be the person that has my own tank and I can enjoy the great underwater with that person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when he's talking about co-regulation, I think what you're referring to in the room, he's got this image behind him of people scuba diving, but one of the partners doesn't have any oxygen in their tank or ran out of tank or didn't have it, and so they're having to share that oxygen. And
yeah,
then he's got another image of people like scuba diving, but they're both taking oxygen from their own tanks and this beautiful scenery and stuff. And so it's a powerful image.
yes,
What
yes.
and why do you think this is so important today in our culture? Why are we talking of why is emotional self-regulation so important, you think, to our model?
Why I think it's important. I mean, number one, it's it's core to a lot of like marriage stuff that's out there is
Mm-hmm.
really dependent on other,
Mm-hmm.
right? So which brings people just to like, Gottman, and EFT. Like, it's very much like learning how to accept the other person and just put up with them, and like, or like waiting for them to regulate you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I love about restoration therapy is that when we can learn about what's going on inside of us and regulate ourselves, I think it gives a much better chance for success.
Yeah. And so what you're saying in many ways is that the emotional self-regulation piece of RT differentiates us from a lot of probably most models out there in the psychological world, and is specifically in the Christian self-help marriage books you read and stuff. A lot of them
Ugh.
are built on
His needs,
co-regulation.
her needs. Ugh.
There's a lot.
Sorry if that person's listening. It's just it's been used very improperly over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people come to my office and talk. They're reading a book, and they're like, "Well, she's just supposed to do these things for me, or he is." And then when you hear that, you're like, "Okay, this couple's co-regulating." And the reality is, it's not that we don't ever co-regulate or we fall into that. We we move up and down the spectrum, if you can imagine, between emotional
Yeah,
self-regulation and co-regulation a lot. And there are times, and they say this in the mindful marriage, when we are in a position that we need to come alongside somebody and help them, right?
right.
But that's not a position we want to live in our marriage. And they make the distinction that being in a co-regulating relationship is a parenting relationship,
Yeah,
and you don't want to parent your partner. We
it
want to
kills
be in,
intimacy.
yeah, we want to be in a partnering relationship. So this is why the emotional self-regulation piece is so critical. Um, let's move to, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but human identity and safety. And
Um,
I think what I always say, and I'm doing a presentation tomorrow to some leaders, but is that our brain is wired around this idea: is this a loving relationship, right?
right.
And is this a safe relationship?
Hmm.
So that identity piece and that safety piece, or
Yeah,
trusting relationship. Um, and no one grows up in perfect homes. No one has perfect experiences. So all of us have experienced violations to our identity and safety, to our love and trust.
yeah.
And so
Should
we
we?
want to understand those, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, how about we just name really quickly the 3 elements underneath love and trustworthiness? We don't have to go into detail with them, just name them when you're working with clients.
Yeah,
Is that
I'll let
cool?
you do that because I think you did it more accurately because I was remember reading through your thesis recently, and I think you did a good job of that.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, I'm just serious.
Yeah, so I think the love piece is absolutely that's where we understand who we are, right? What was given to us growing up. And the 3 components of love speak to one is this sacrificial love that's really important. Like the Christian word would be like, or the Greek word would be agape, but this is the sense of worth, that we have inherent worth as we come into this world. That we don't have to earn our worth. It's where Terry talks about performance driven identity is no identity at all. We need to know that we have worth from the get go. Next, we have companionate love. This is where we identify ourselves in relationship to one another, in this sense of belonging, right? That it's so important to belong and be a part of something. It's going back to the men conversation. Like, men just don't feel like they belong anymore, apparently, or they've lost that ability to learn how to belong. They've
Mhm.
kind of fallen for prey to these other things that are false imitations. And then finally, we have with identity is this sense of being unique, or that you're desired, that you're special. And each of us possesses something special inside of us.
Would you
And
say would you use the
good
word unique and special in session, or would you use something of like? Because I
that
also
you're,
hear that you're like because you're unique, like you're wanted for who you are,
yeah,
or I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know
you're
what
desired.
desired.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they both fit. That there's something, inside of each human being that we have. There is commonality, but then there is this inherent difference that we each have, which makes us special.
So if you're in
Um,
session today with a client, the 3 words you'll use are around identity.
Worth, belonging, unique.
Unique. Okay.
I think desired fit, like, because that's phileo as well, like where you have that belonging, like you're desired, you're part of. So I think the differentiator with the special helps personally.
You're kind of riffing off C.S. Lewis, right? And the 3 loves there.
Yeah, you got, man, Rhett.
I love it.
Rhett, you know my lexicon, bro.
Okay, and safety, the
So
trust piece.
yeah, safety. This one, this is kind of the grand idea that starts it all, is because we come from Bozer-Mini-Naj's contextual therapy. So the first thing we talk about is the balance of love or excuse me, the balance of give and take. Is there a sense of fairness or justice in relationship? And the next thing in relationship. So when we're looking at trustworthiness, this is about how we interact with the other, right? So we have the balance of give and take. Next, we have this sense of predictability. That there is follow through, that we know what's going to happen when they say it's going to happen. It is predictable. We're looking at a rate of, Terry's said all numbers between 85 to 90 to 95% of being predictable. Predictability is just this sense of, it gives us peace, and kills this this sense of feeling not safe, when you know what's going to happen. And then finally, we have this sense of openness, that we're able to be real with one another. That's in relationship, when we're able to be vulnerable with one another, that's like one of the biggest bonding pieces.
Yeah.
Like when we open up our hearts and stuff. So yeah,
So the balance and give and take, we might use words like fairness or
yep,
justice, and then predictability, and then
yeah, like
openness.
yeah, the predictability one. This is like a lot of couples or individuals that come in the room. They're like, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
That's like the classic, or like it's overwhelming. Type stuff going on. Yeah,
Yeah. I will say this: when I'm with a, let's just say like a new client or a new couple, and I have this whiteboard behind me, and I'll get up sometimes and just to kind of help, depending where we are in session, but I'll put up kind of a T chart graph with identity and love on one side, yeah, and safety and trust on the other, and identify those things and talk about how
Yeah.
we're wired around those. And it's amazing when people see that, they're like, all these lights inside their brain start going off. Oh, I didn't feel safe growing up.
Yeah.
I didn't feel a sense of worth growing up. And
Mhm.
it makes sense to people. Like, oh, and it's like the lights come on, which makes it an easy segue to get into the pain cycle
Or the
from
pain chart.
the pain chart. Yeah, up on
Yeah.
the board to do that, to look at the pain chart,
Yeah.
start graphing that because you can see where the violations come in.
Yeah. The minute you talk about what's good, I even did it, even talking about it from the top level of like, in talking about what's good, we instantly think about what's not good. Right. Um,
So just because you corrected me there a second ago, how would you distinguish pain chart and pain cycle?
so the pain chart would be, that's kind of our, um, that's the therapist thing that they're using primarily. Like the therapist is thinking from the pain chart.
Yep.
That's the global kind of philosophical idea of how we are under. That's the theoretical application piece that we're looking at and understanding our clients. Sometimes we are transparent and we show that to our clients where they can see. It's kind of like what you're talking about.
Mhm.
So the pain chart would have the love and trust. Then it goes down, has the next section where it says violations. Then it says pain. Then it has the four coping strategies that we talk about.
Blame, shame, control, escape, chaos.
Right. And then the pain cycle, the cycle is, that's their mindfulness tool, right? So that's where we understand the pieces. That has the, feels, copes, others react box for the pain cycle. That's where you kind of identify that with your client. And then the peace cycle is the other part of the mindfulness tool, where it has the truth, new action, and others react, so people can see the that part in there. So
No, this is helpful for me because as we're talking, I can see where I easily bring them together and mishmash them sometimes in ways that is could get me confused in the room as a therapist in terms of like how I think about organizing things.
yeah.
Instead of thinking about the pain chart and peace chart as separate stuff, I can put them in with the peace cycle and pain cycle. And so, this is why I'm glad we're having this conversation because it just makes me take a step back and go, oh, yeah, one is this, like you said, theoretical application, the
Right.
pain chart, the peace chart, which helps us as therapists organize and sequence things. And then the pain cycle and peace cycle is really the working model, the practice that we're going to work with clients to work through the 4 steps.
Right. Yeah, so that's like your foundational piece that you're drawing from to understand each of your clients. So yeah, I think that's good. And your clients may or may not see the pain in the peace chart,
Right.
but your clients better. If you're a restoration therapist, your clients better see that pain cycle and that peace cycle. If they have not seen the pain and peace cycle with you and they don't know what it looks like, they don't know it like the backhand, like their backhands, you're not doing restoration therapy with your client.
Well, and I'm guilty of like not every client sometimes has seen the full spectrum of pain and peace cycle for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's still the growing edge is to make sure that every client that I work with understands that clearly. Because I can look at some sessions or some clients where they have a pretty good understanding of it or a pretty good working model, or they've seen more of the pain cycle and we're still trying to get the peace cycle and it's in
Mhm.
fragmented. So I've been thinking a lot as a therapist of how I even do a better job of making sure that I don't miss some of the sequencing and pieces.
Right. I mean, and let's be fair. I mean, sometimes we have clients that are come in for specific things and
Yeah.
they're, but we're just not doing, we have to admit we're not doing restoration therapy with that person at that point.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't mean you're
And
not a good therapist or you're not doing the work you do, but
no,
it's
yeah,
RT. RT is your clients at least seeing for sure the pain and peace cycle and beginning to practice the 4 steps.
yeah, that
Yeah.
those are quintessential, as Terry was saying, core components.
Yeah. You want to say anything about the peace chart at all?
Yeah, sorry, we kind of like jumped all over this thing, didn't we?
Okay, we're good.
Yeah. I mean the peace chart. So let's finish the pain chart,
Yep.
because the pain chart we have, it goes down the four coping. You want to talk about the four coping?
Yeah. Well, when we're in pain, when there's a violation of love and trust, we either blame others,
Yep.
right? Shame ourselves,
Come on.
control.
Mm-hmm.
So blame and shame is under the violation of identity and love.
Yeah,
Typically,
typically.
typically, not always.
Yeah.
And then control
Mm-hmm.
or escape chaos.
Yeah.
And you'll, again, typically, when there's a violation of safety, we'll see people want to control their environment, or they want to escape and get chaotic.
Right. Yeah. And people can do, I love Terry when he talks about, he's like, we got our one steppers, we got our two steppers, we got our three steppers, and we have some four steppers out there. I love it when he talks about it. But yeah, I think that's a moment in the, when you're doing the work. I think like when you show that pain chart and you're
Yeah.
teaching on it, like when you show the violations of love and trust, when you talk about love and trust, that's where people are like, oh man, I didn't have that. I didn't have that. And you talk about violations that, like, oh yeah, me too. You talk about pain, they're like, oh wow. You talk about the biological elements there when you talk about the pain piece. But man, when you start talking about the coping, that is when you see eyes darting left and right, because they're like, oh, that's like they're doing the thing, where they're pointing at the other. So yeah, but we the pain chart is how we understand the unhealthy elements in this world.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the peace chart, man. I think this is very important. When you think about the peace chart, Rhett, what goes on inside of you?
That it's really hard to do. That's what
Oh
goes outside of me. It's easy to get my pain up
man,
or clients, but it's hard, to get that peace part up.
yeah.
Um,
Well, you're a runner, right?
I do run.
And like when you run, your routes you're going to run, don't you?
Hmm.
Like, I don't know about you, but I used to do trail running. I did like cross country in high school, and then I would just be ridiculous as a kid, growing up. But I would run, and I would know the route I was running. Like I knew exactly where that big route is that I tripped on, and I'd be able to run that route without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I
We're just
think that's, yeah,
it's where our it's laid down, that wiring. It's that neural connection's super strong.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know and so, I mean, I guess when I think about the peace chart, we're looking for identifying truths around, our sense of identity and our sense of safety, right?
yeah,
um, and and then also beginning to look at, instead of these coping behaviors, what are the actions that we're going to take out
yeah,
of these truths.
right, yeah.
And
And I
now,
think,
go ahead.
good. No, you, buddy.
No, because here's where I want to ask you. When it comes to the 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 actions, correct?
Yeah,
We're looking at. We talk about nurture. We talk
yep,
about valuing self. We talked
yep,
about balance, give and taking. We talk about the ability to reliably connect.
yes.
Right, those quadrants. When you think about the truth words themselves, though, what categories are we looking for? Are we just thinking primarily around identity and safety, around love and trust?
Yeah, we're going to identity and safety, and I think it's, this is like when you first give this, like when your clients first look at this, they're, like, and we're doing it on the level of Is it true that you're unloved? Is it true that you're not safe? Clients will be like, no, I am loved. I am safe. So the truth is that thing that you can hold on to no matter what.
Mhm.
I think this is where integration gets really exciting, because there's some truth that we can hold on to no matter what. And but I think beyond just integration, there's other truths that we've experienced in life that we can hold on to no matter what.
Would
um
you put virtue as truth or in the action category, or can they hold both spaces at times?
I believe, hmm I feel like the virtue, like, because you have vices and virtues,
Mhm.
that would be like the classic one. So I would put the virtue as in the, like, that is then the new action personally. Like like a virtuous person is somebody that is like has that core, like, it's really funny, like from a clinical perspective or from a theological perspective. Like, we have clients come in the room and they're like, oh yeah, fruits of the spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, um self-control. Um and, and they'll name the things, but they're not naming the root of where the things come from, right? So I think I put virtue more in the realm of, like, that is the overflow from which the truth comes. Because, like, when you look at, like, the old vices and virtues, have you seen this? Like, I think
Mhm.
was it Aristotle or Plato?
Mhm. Yeah. I
Like,
was
where,
gonna
like, good.
let me throw something out at you
Ooh,
with integration though. Like, I'm thinking about this, and I don't know. This would be a good question to ask Terry, because he's done a lot of work around virtue and in reading and kind of thinking through. But when Paul in Philippians 4:8,
yeah.
he uses the Greek word arete, which is a virtue, right? And after talking about anxiety, right, and peace in verse 4:7, he says in 4:8, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And then in verse 9, he says, put that into practice, right?
Hmm.
So, and I would have to dive deeper into this because I'm just thinking of this right out loud. Is
Are you writing a book?
I am working on something right now, so I have been thinking about this, but I could be completely wrong. That what we're Paul's asking us to meditate on are these virtues, right? And then he says go out and practice them. So those virtues take on a practice form. And so
Mm,
there's this meditating on these virtues, which in my mind I think about as truth sometimes. Um, and I could be splitting hairs here. I don't know. I could be way wildly wrong. Um, but I kind of like think about virtues sometimes as a truth. That's not only we believe it, but we also go out and practice it. And I think it's good language too to use in audiences or groups. Maybe let's say don't come from a faith background, for example.
yeah.
Um, like you know, everybody loves the Stoics right now, or a lot of people do, and reading about Marcus Aurelius or a lot of the other Stoics talk about virtue. And so it's an easy word sometimes to use in certain contexts to say, here are some virtues or truths. And when you meditate on these, what does your life look like? How do you practice those
Yeah.
things?
Yeah.
Anyways,
No, so many great conversations to have right now. Trying to figure out which one would be better.
well, I just, yeah,
Have
we don't
you?
have to dive deep into that, but I was just thinking,
Yeah.
like, I just wanted
No,
to know what you think of virtue is in the categories there as
yeah.
truth or action.
I put in the action category personally, like for
Okay.
me, and
Yeah.
it's from the overflow of the stable knowledge of self, the true self, the knowledge of one's sense of like empowerment. I think with safety, like, this is where things get hairy, right? Because we're not in a safe world. We're like, things are not safe. Like, this is very abundantly clear. Where we live, that it's not safe. However, there's things that we can hold on to in the midst of the unsafe world,
Yeah.
that we live in. Um, And I think that's where, like, when it comes to truth, this is such a important part of the work that we do is to really find those truths that can really, like, they can anchor into. That's not like this thing that's going to be faulty, but like a truth that's like very, like, this is reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like that idea of arete, like that, as whatever is true, whatever is noble. That's so powerful when we're trying to stop ruminations, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, stop it. Do these things instead. This is the flow of health and healing, and living the full life. You want to continue down your, like, narrow perspective, like that narrowed, like, focused perspective on the pains and the ills of life. You will, what that's going to get you. Yeah.
When you do your pain chart and peace chart, do you do mostly, let's say most of the time with clients, and let's say you're organizing it in a room in front of them on a chart or something, will
Sure.
you show those quadrants: blame, shame, control, escape, and then
Oh yeah.
also nurture, valuing self, balance, give and take, reliably connecting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. And I really like to, like, act them out, because I
Yeah.
think that's like one of the most fun parts when you're working with the audience. Like, they get that immediately.
One things that I remember Sharon saying at a retreat, it's really important, is that as we're thinking about this with clients and working on their charts, so eventually get to the cycle here, our truths have to speak into the pain.
Yeah.
It can't be that my pain is I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, and then
Right.
my truth is um, I don't know, loved. Let's say
Yeah.
that could be important, but that my truth needs to speak into specifically that this idea of like I'm a failure and I'm not good enough.
Right.
And this idea, this truth that I am enough, that I'm more than enough, that I'm capable.
Mm. That you're Rhett freaking Smith, bro.
Does that make sense, Lance?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the thing with the pain chart, this is, going back to the three realms. This is the attachment part. Okay. Like, the identity and safety part, that we start with. This is our theory on attachment.
yeah.
When we're talking about this is why we have the others react box when we get to the pain cycle. This is how we understand attachment as restoration therapists. Terry likes to say we do attachment theory better than any attachment theory. I shouldn't have said it like that. We do attachment theory better than anybody else.
You know what? I have a good idea for a podcast episode.
Yeah.
We bring Terry on video and we let him listen to this episode. Like, have you seen those episodes where viewers listen to a song together and it's like a reaction video? And so we get Terry's reaction to listen to us talk about RT,
Oh,
like all of us on split screens, and then
yeah.
he pauses it and either corrects us or tells us we're on the right path here.
Dude, let me show you this. Let me see if I can show this on the screen. Terry.
That's a shout out, by the way. We were talking about reaction videos earlier because our friend Clint Davis had a podcaster had him on doing a reaction video to NF's new song "Fear," and it was fun to watch him talk about mental health and faith and stuff. So, all right,
So, dude, okay, so Terry, I've actually experienced this watching Terry watch people.
okay.
And my horror, and this is the picture I have of him saved in my phone for when he calls me. I don't know if you can see this. Oh,
What is that? He's got like a napkin
that,
over his face with
yep,
glasses over it.
yep. This was when, I'm not gonna say who he was watching. He was watching someone do therapy, and he's like, it was a day. It was just one of those days. Those days where it's like, oh,
Oh,
watching therapy is miserable. Like, you're watching practicum students that are like very fresh. It's just it's hard. And Terry, He just he took a tissue and covered his face. I'd be afraid. I wonder if, like, when he watches or listens to us, if he ever wants to take those tissues and just stuff them in his ears.
Oh, I
I
mean,
think he loves us. He
he
loves
does. He
us.
loves us. He's watched me do therapy, though. I'm sure he was talking to Sharon about it afterwards. Oh, you can't believe what Rhett did. Oh man. But
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing about this community. We're learning to get better and grow.
Yeah, that's one of the hidden elements, cores of what we do in restoration therapy, and that was like one of the things that they were really nailing down. Like for restoration therapists, it is really important that we are truth speakers to one another.
Yeah.
Like we have to be real with one another, and if we're not real, we're really hurting each other. And so
Being
that
real
I
in a
think that's
loving and
important.
safe way.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
hey, we want to grow.
Do you again, I know we could do a long episode for each of these, but we're just trying to get through some of them. Anything else you want
Yeah.
to say about pain chart, peace chart?
No, I think that's just going back to that's our attachment.
Yeah.
That's our theoretical um frame of attachment.
So let's talk about the pain cycle, peace cycle.
Yeah. Oh man, this is the mindfulness tool, bro. Do you remember like when you first saw your pain cycle, or when you first show a client their peace cycle, their
Yeah.
pain cycle?
I was at the Hideaway sitting third chair watching therapists do the work with four couples. So in my own mind, I was doing it on my own behind the
Yeah.
scenes. And I had my pain and peace cycle up that first intensive. And I went home and I just practiced it on my wife, who had no clue what I was doing, but it changed our life. It
Yeah.
changed my world. And so I remember that first time. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That tool, the tool of the pain and the peace cycle of being able to see the juxtaposition of the two, and to be able to like use it as a mind, like eventually the mindfulness tool with the 4 steps is absolutely like, it changes everything.
So let's say
um,
this, the pain chart, peace chart, that's you organizing really the
yeah,
client
it's the
and the
theory.
session around attachment, violations of love and trust. And then as you do that work, you're moving it on into a pain and peace cycle, preferably on a chart or on paper, things that they can look at and see and work
Yeah,
on.
it's basically it's our diagnostic lens
Yeah.
for the way we approach each person, right?
Yeah.
We, obviously the DSM is out there for good reason, but for us as restoration therapists, this is our diagnostic tool. We're with a pain cycle, we're diagnosing the pain and the coping and how others react. That's our diagnostic. And we're prescribing, I don't know if Terry would put it this way, but we're prescribing like, here's the truth and here's these new actions and watch how others react.
I think of like a book. Some books, they start with like getting into the theory and like the model and everything, and you have a deep understanding. And then a big part of the book is like, here's the practical application. Now, here's how you're
Yeah,
going to take what you learned and put it into practice.
totally.
And so we take the pain and peace chart to get into the theory, to work it, to understand at deep levels our clients, understand ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we're going to take that and put it into the mindfulness piece of the pain and peace cycle with the 4 steps, and practice that and work that out in our lives. I was just
Yeah.
thinking aloud. Yeah.
No, I think that's the perfect example, Rhett. I think you nailed it.
So anything you want that differentiates the chart, pain and peace chart, to the pain and peace cycle? Pain and peace cycle, you said, is the mindfulness. What's important for people listening when you say pain and peace cycle that you think they need to know if they're practicing RT?
Number one, you have to put it in front of your person. Your client should have it in their hands.
At all times?
I would say like it needs to make a showing at 90. Like once you get that, like the pain cycle, we should have it like, Terry says 6 sessions. He's like, yeah, it usually within the first 30 minutes, but you want to kind of give it some time to play out. That, so we should have it in our clients' hands within the first 6 sessions, their pain cycle.
Yeah.
And then we're working towards that peace cycle. But yeah, in their hands,
Do you when I'm working
or
with
at least
couples,
written on the board.
Yeah, when I work with couples, I'll still use the huge sticky notes and put their pain and peace cycle up there on a chart with the steps
Yeah.
and roll it up and send it home with them. Do you still do something like that?
So what I do is I have a big glass in my office. I wish we were in
Yeah.
my office now. And I write it on there and I have them take a picture of it.
Okay.
And I have them like make it very accessible. I think the sticky note is probably a little bit better personally. Because then they take it home and you tell them to put it in the place where they argue the most.
Yeah.
And then they have to look at that.
I still
Versus
but
no.
something I learned, and this is not RT I'm saying, but something I learned doing the intensives is we would have couples go home and put it in their closet just because they would see it all the time.
Mhm.
Because you get closets where you get dressed and undressed and you are and so what we learned from couples often is that when they got into conflict, they would literally go in their closet and stand in front of their charts and
Yeah.
practice the steps.
Yeah.
You may not want it on your refrigerator over the holidays when family's in town.
Nah, do it. Do it. It makes for a great
I
conversation
totally,
piece.
I totally knew you would. You'd be like, put that out there.
Yeah, mom, this is all your fault. See, this is why I feel unloved. My
By the
mom is
way,
my
shout out
mom.
next
Yeah.
week
What's next
episode.
week?
Well, we're recording episodes week with Sharon and Dee Dee Meyer about
What?
families and the holidays and stuff. So that'll be fun.
They love those. This is gonna be I'm just gonna sit back and watch that one. It's gonna be great.
So we've done the work of the getting the pain, understanding their pain and peace cycle, doing it on the
Yeah.
chart, and then putting it into a tool in front of them on paper or on the board. You have them, take a picture of it, of
Yeah.
their pain and peace cycle. Um, you have them identify that pain and peace cycle along with you, of course, helping them.
Right. And
Um,
we're trying to narrow those words down. I think
yeah.
3 to 5 is good for each box.
Yeah. I
Um,
always try to get down to 3 to maybe 4 tops.
yeah.
It,
You can
you know,
star the go-tos.
I encourage clients to circle as many words as they want sometimes in the beginning, just to kind of
Yeah.
sit with that and then to go back. I still, and I don't know, I think I've had conversations where some people don't do this. Maybe it's not helpful. Even when I'm not in session, I will still give homework, like a handout of like a pain chart, not a chart, pain words and peace
Yeah.
words. And I'll have clients go home and just sit with that with a couple of prompt questions and circle as many words as they experience and then bring that into session and we'll unpack that.
Yeah, it's great. I think I might want to go to you for therapy, Rhett.
I don't know. I bought these little journals on Amazon. They come in like a pack of like 30. And so in my
Yeah.
first session, I give this journal to clients, often with a handout, just because I feel like people love the momentum of coming to therapy and working in the room, but then leaving with some practice, not like, oh,
Totally.
what am I going to do till next week,
Right. Yeah.
So
I
anyways,
love practice. We're all about practice. Let's talk about practice. What's the 4 steps,
someday,
Rhett?
someday we'll have to, a lot of people listening may know that reference to Allen Iverson's press conference about practice back in the early 2000s. If they
Yeah.
don't, Google Allen Iverson practice. I'll put that
Yeah.
in the show notes.
Yeah. And it was also later adapted in the famous Apple TV show Ted Lasso.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So would you ask me the 4 steps?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the continuation of the mindfulness practice is that we want to take the pain cycle and the peace cycle and put it into steps that people say and can begin to embody, And so the pain cycle is step 1 is say what you are feeling. Step
Yep.
2,
And you got to
say
say
what
it.
you yeah, say it out loud. Right now I'm feeling not good enough. I feel like a failure. And then step 2, what I normally do is I I do a lot of things, Lance, but typically I try to perform or achieve. And if that doesn't work, I'll try to control things. And eventually, that doesn't work, I just escape or numb out.
There
I
you
have a
go.
good dance going on. So those are the
Yeah.
first 2 steps. Step
You're a
3,
good dancer.
get into our peace cycle, which is say the truth. And step 4, is taking that new action.
Yeah.
I've seen it written different ways. I was looking at the difference between it written in the RT book to written in how it was written in the Advanced in Techniques to how
Yeah.
it was written in the 5 Days to a New Self. And it's had a little bit of evolution, but essentially it's do the action.
Yeah. Yeah, it's do the action. I mean, how we show it to our clients is, I think that's important. Like, how you like say the coping, or say the feeling, say the coping, say the uh truth, and then say the new action. That's important to make sure we outline all those things. But Terry was like, if you diagram it a little bit, if you show your diagram, as long as you have the parts there, we're happy. Just make sure you're using this 4-step model. Yeah.
I I'm actually taking notes as we're talking because I'm learning some things here. I
Me too.
I I like when Michael. I was trying to think. Michael Pachuca was on our podcast with his that intervention
Yeah.
where you got your hand on your head and your heart.
Yeah.
When you're saying your truth, is it here in your head or in your heart or both? And how do we move it? Do you remember that?
Yeah, dude. I use that all the time now.
Yeah, I've been using that with clients. Like when they say their truth, where do you feel that? Like, is it in your head, just as intellectual knowledge, or is it in their heart? And how are we going to move it to that heart and getting them up and like practicing feeling that,
Yeah.
like taking that action.
Yeah. It's so powerful yeah. And I think that's part of the stuff with restoration therapy. And this is why level 2, being in consultation groups is so important, because, it's to understand the concepts is really important, but then the application of the concepts to me that's where the magic happens. Like,
Yeah.
where like the to watch the blood flow through the organs is just like, whoa, this is
And
amazing.
just a quick integration piece here. This is a lot of my experience with Christians or people from a faith background is their truth, they know it intellectually. They're like, well, the
Yeah.
Bible says this, I know this about me.
Yes.
But it's this head knowledge and
Yeah.
it's not embodied, you know? And so I think like some of the beautiful things about RT is, this mindfulness practice, but then getting them up in the room and helping them move it from head to heart,
Yeah.
you know?
Dude,
Um,
the heart matters.
I have a thought, Lance.
What's your thought?
Let's spend the rest of this episode just kind of riffing on a few what we've talked about because we just unpacked a bunch.
Yeah, we did.
And the forgiveness piece is huge.
Yes.
And I feel like I'd like to have Terry on or Eric on. Eric's coming on anyways soon, and I know that's something he's really been unpacking is the forgiveness model. So we
Yeah,
could talk
man.
about that with him. But I want to do that justice,
Okay.
if you will. I want to be fair.
We named it.
Yeah.
And fairness is important in restoration therapy.
Yeah, and we got to talk about the stop, turn, slow at another time, and we got to ask Terry about the
Yeah.
usness.
Let's talk about us.
So I'm gonna name some things for you, okay? And I
Let's
want you
do
to
it.
tell me. You work with a lot of therapists. You do a lot of training. What is the
Mm-hmm.
hardest concept to grasp that we mentioned, and what's comes the easiest? Okay, so we got emotional regulation versus co-regulation.
Yep.
Got the pain chart, peace chart.
Mm-hmm.
Got the pain cycle. We got the peace cycle. We got the 4 steps. What do
Yeah.
you notice is really challenging for new therapists and therapists who've been working for a long time? And what seems to come easier and just click easier?
Well, I'd say a lot of the front end stuff is pretty easy. Like, people like, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like the feelings of, like feeling unloved and the coping, like it all makes sense for someone. I think it gets hard when we are challenging the status quo, by saying, well, the truth is this. They like the initial, pass with the truth sometimes, depending on how long they've been in their pain cycles. But the practice of finding that it can be really hard. So I think, you know, the struggle that I notice a lot of therapists having is, um, one is just dialing in, like to really work the model, let the model work. You know, they kind of want to they want to nuance out or branch out from the model. I don't think that's helpful. I think it's better to stay within the model, and allow it to flow. And you know, once you've flown, like once you're the four step, when you have your clients in the four steps, that's when you can kind of play, and kind of use, you know, other elements out that are out there. But until that person's regulated, like we're not going to get that far. Um, but yeah, I would say the other thing that I still struggle with too is just how do we get our clients to use our four steps, man?
Yeah.
Like that is a, you know, I've like gone through so many different practice pieces that are out there. What's the James Clear book? Atomic
Atomic
Habits.
Habits. Yeah.
Yeah, I've like read through that an endurance book,
Yeah.
willpower. You know, like
Yeah.
there's so many things that's like to get someone to follow through, and try out emotional regulation. That is such a dance. So that would probably be where I see
Just get
the
into practice.
yeah
Yeah, and, I remember being at the beginning of their anxiety pilot intensives, and Terry said to the group, something to the effect of, I used to believe it was 80% insight and 20% practice. And now I believe
yes
it's 20% insight and 80% practice. Like
yeah
a huge flip that we don't necessarily need to know more. We need to actually practice more of what we know.
yeah. It's
And
so important.
yeah, I, yeah, I was curious. I'm looking at the list, and, what's helpful for me in having this conversation with you is I was just thinking it's easy to get lazy in therapy. And by lazy, I mean, um, not that you're not doing work or good work, even. It's that you can drift from some of the structure
Yeah
of a model. And then that lead down the road, that drift, you realize I'm lost at sea. It's like a boat that gets
yeah.
off course just a little bit.
Hmm.
And then and then you're like, oh, I thought we were supposed to land the boat in the Bahamas, and now we're just nowhere. We're just
Where are
off
we?
course a little bit.
We're stuck in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to work on is I don't think I do well enough getting the quadrants of blame, shame, control, and escape. I do it on occasion, but I think that would be really helpful. And then the peace chart, having, you know, nurturing self, balance, give and take, valuing self, reliably connecting, like helping people
Yeah.
see that. Like, I think that would help me or structure and organize myself better and the client, and that would flow easier into the pain and peace work.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, Terry talks about this in the level one training, when we're doing the organization elements that, of understanding where their pain cycles come from, that we are supposed to interrupt our clients, like at least every 3 to 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people feel like it's so uncomfortable to interrupt your client, right? Like they're telling this like really painful story about, you know, whatever happened to them. And they're just like they're in there telling the story. And we are supposed to say, okay, pause. This is really important what you're saying. Can you say what were you feeling in that moment? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like to me, like when you're dialing down these quadrants, that to me is one of those things that, like for us as therapists, that requires a lot of interactivity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like personally for me, when I get lazy, I'm not interrupting my clients enough and
Mm-hmm.
asking them those core questions. I'm like, all right, go ahead and tell me the story. It's obvious that you want to share this right now. And that's where we can, you know, it's important to hear the story, but to contextualize it in and around the pain or peace cycle is really important.
Let me ask you a question. And I brought this up Um, I think actually in with some other RT therapists over time, what's interesting, how do I ask this question? Like we're talking about how to do RT, and we go to
Yeah.
trainings and we listen and we talk about the core components. And it's really easy to get in your pain cycle as an RT therapist when you start thinking, I'm not doing it right, or I'm
Yeah.
not sticking to stuff, or I feel like a failure at RT. Does that
Yeah.
resonate?
Yeah.
Or
Mike Bishop was right. You suck.
I've had people listen to our podcast and they're like blown away. Let's just, for example, with Tanner's interventions. And because they
Yeah.
can't do Tanner's interventions, or don't feel confident, that they feel like a failure as an RT therapist, And
Yeah.
so, and there's times I get off the episode with one of our guests and I'm like, oh man, I'm not very
They're
good
so
at being a
good.
therapist. I'm not very good.
We get all these great people on the podcast. It's hard.
Yeah. So what do you say to the people you train who are just learning RT, just to encourage them, because it's easy to get. And maybe that's the beautiful thing about RT is we can recognize ourselves in our own pain cycle as we're even
Yeah.
doing the work.
Yeah. I mean, the old saying, the old proverb, I probably showed this on is that, do you know the best time to plant a tree?
I've heard it, but what is it?
It's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And the second best time is right now. This work that we do, this work that we have been gifted, these souls that walk into our offices, each is precious, right? And we have been given the task of coming alongside the healing of persons. So I think the thing that I want to really encourage myself in my pain cycle, or even encourage my associates or my teammates, is that, hey, you get another try. You get another try. And it's not about like being a failure or whatever. Like, this is, we're on the journey of healing. And along the way, it's not going to be pretty, but give it another try, man. Like
Yeah.
this is the work. And if you keep trying, eventually it will become a part of you. Right. And yeah, that I don't know if that's helpful or not when you
It's
hear it.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it came to mind because as we're talking through these components, like, I'm doing a self-analysis of my own work with RT
Yeah.
and where I'm at. What do I think I do well? Where do I need to improve on? You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I loved how Terry, his when I used to do a consultation with him with my group once a month for like I think we did it for like 8 years or something like that. And at the end of every single consultation group, he says, "Go and be the best therapist in the world."
mm-hmm.
And I think that's a call. That's our call, is to just go be our best. And Rhett, you can do your best, and I'll do my best.
And
And yeah,
sometimes it's those sessions that we think were amazing that clients don't remember, and the times that you think you weren't doing a good job, they're like, man, remember when you said that to me in session? I'm like, I don't,
I
but
didn't
I'll
say that, but I'll go
yeah,
for
that's
it.
awesome. you know so we are not, we have to show up and be the vessel, and we are not always in control of
Mm.
how things play out, and we just got to use our talents and gifts the best that we can.
Oh, Rhett, you're so right. I mean, I think that's at the end of the day. At the very end of the day is like, we're not the healer. Like
Yeah.
we walk alongside, and that that there's a greater healer that is out there, that is working in this person's life, and to hold on to that is such a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Lance, you have a busy day
Yeah,
today.
dude. It's time to go be the best therapist in the world right now.
Yeah,
There's some people that need it.
I do too. I get the privilege in a couple hours, like, to hop on a Zoom with Terry as he's helping me work on some writing that I'm doing. So,
Ooh.
hopefully,
Love you, Terry.
hopefully when the Zoom comes on, doesn't have a napkin over his face and glasses. Awesome.
So good. All right, man. Well,
All right, man. Go do
cheers,
good work.
bro.
See ya.
All right, man.
Later.
Peace.